Best Allegra Goodman books. Catterskill Falls. In the summer of '76, the Schulmans and the Melishes migrate to Catterskill, the tiny town in upstate New York where Orthodox Jews and Yankee year-rounders live side by side from June through August. Elizabeth Schulman, a devout follower of Rav Elijah Kirshner and the mother of 5 daughters, is restless. She needs a project of her own, outside her family and her cloistered community. Paradise Park. Abandoned by her folk dancing partner, Gary Indiana, a Honolulu hotel room, Sharon realizes she could return to Boston, and her estranged family, or listen to that little voice inside herself. The voice that asks, how come Gary got to pursue his causes, while all I got to pursue was him? Thus, with an open heart, a soul on fire, and her meager possessions, a guitar, 2 Indian gauze skirts, a macrame bikini, and her grandfather's silver watch, Sharon begins her own spiritual quest. Intuition. Sandy Glass, a charismatic publicity-seeking oncologist, and Marion Mendelssohn, a pure, exacting scientist, are CO directors of a lab at the Philpott Institute dedicated to cancer research and desperately in need of a grant. Both mentors and supervisors of their young postdoctoral protégés, Glass and Mendelssohn demand dedication and obedience in a competitive environment where funding is scarce and results elusive. The other side of the island. Honor and her parents have been reassigned to live on Island 365 in the Tranquil Sea. Life is peaceful there. The color of the sky is regulated by Earth Mother, a corporation that controls new weather, and it almost never rains. Everyone fits into their rightful and predictable place, except Honor. The Cookbook Collector. Emily and Jessamine Bach are opposites in every way. 28-year-old Emily is the CEO of Veritech, 23-year-old Jess is an environmental activist and graduate student in philosophy. Pragmatic Emily is making a fortune in Silicon Valley, romantic Jess works in an antiquarian bookstore. Emily is rational and driven, while Jess is dreamy and whimsical. Emily's boyfriend, Jonathan, is fantastically successful. Jess's boyfriends, not so much, as her employer George points out in what he hopes is a completely disinterested way. Total immersion. In The Succession, the members of a prosperous Hawaii synagogue agree on almost nothing. But when the president of the synagogue absconds with a small fortune, far deeper, and more troubling, rifts emerge. In The Closet, Evelyn's sister flees her family to take up residence in the attic, while the shunned Evelyn finds herself slipping into the waters of her sister's soul. In Wishlist, an expert on terrorism, vacationing at an academic retreat in England, receives a late-night phone call from National Public Radio. Asked for commentary on a hostage situation of which he is ignorant, Ed can whisper only, "It's unspeakable." The Family Markowitz. In The Family Markowitz, Allegra Goodman writes with wit and compassion of 3 generations of Markowitzes making their way in America. At the center is Rose, the cantankerous matriarch, who longs for her earlier life in London and Vienna but is now forced into dependency on her son's Ed, an academic expert on terrorism, ahead of his time, and Henry, an artistic expatriate with a taste for antiques and postmodern poetry. Also in the family circle are Sarah, Ed's wife, who teaches creative writing and longs for a more literary life, and Sarah and Ed's daughter Miriam, a medical student who causes great alarm in her largely assimilated family by rediscovering Judaism. Apple Cake. Her sisters held vigil, her sons came on weekends. And yet Jean kept on living. In the kitchen, her family nibbled Helen's lemon squares. Helen was the baker of the family. Now her family needed sustenance, so she doubled every recipe and froze half. What she felt could not be purchased. She grieved from scratch. Thanks for watching. Check the video description for links to purchase any of these products.